Welcome to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, the show where you get the inside access to the best minds in the game. Each week, Chris has the privilege of chatting with top instructors, legendary players, course architects, and industry insiders. If you're looking to improve your game, gain a new perspective, or just hear some incredible golf stories, you are indeed in the right place.
You see, Chris, let me tell you something. I haven't spoken to a press man in my life that is knowledgeable, seriously, as you are. Never.
You do such a great job. It kind of makes me feel good all of a sudden.
You do so much for the game. You're so kind to all of us that are out there in the game. You know, we need more people like you in the game of golf.
Thank you for pressing play. Now, grab your clubs, step up to the tee, and let's get started. This is Next on the Tee.
Hi, folks, and welcome into this special year-end edition of Next on the Tee, where golf legends live and your game gets better. I'm your host, Chris Mascaro, and as always, I appreciate you being here and pressing play on this week's show. I'm so excited to share with you 3 great guests that have been so great to me over the years. As you know, I always end the season by inviting guests who I think will really resonate with you over the holidays. So to round out season number 12, I've invited Charlie Rymer, Suzy Whaley, and Hal Sutton to join me. They're not only 3 great ambassadors in our game, they're also just 3 wonderful human beings. As many of you know, Charlie successfully battled stage 3 colon cancer thanks to the grace of God, the support of his wife, and of course his wonderful doctors along the way, particularly those out in Houston at MD Anderson. We'll check in on Charlie's health. It's been a wonderful story. It's been a battle and a journey, but it has a happy ending. Then Charlie is a part of a great new project going on in Greenville, Tennessee, of course starting with a golf course that he'll be working alongside our friend Rees Jones to design. Charlie get into design work. I'm very excited to hear all about that. And if Charlie's going to be involved with a big project, you know great food is going to be involved as well. He talks about all of that and what we'll be able to see and when we'll be able to see it. I also get Charlie's thoughts on the proposed changes to the PGA Tour that new tour commissioner Brian Rolapp and Tiger have spoken about recently. So there's a lot to get into with Charlie. He'll join me here in just a moment. Following him, Suzy Whaley will be here. Suzy always makes this segment so much fun to be a part of. I focus my time with her on the positive vibes that come from every member of the Whaley family. You remember Jen Whaley joined me not all that long ago. She's very positive. Suzy is one of the most positive people you'll meet, and that really transcends the Whaley family. We get into that. Suzy was the captain of this year's Junior Ryder Cup team, and she coached that team to a victory. Perhaps we maybe need to get her over to Ireland in a couple of years so she could take the guys to a win, right? Something that Suzy is doing should be transcending over to the men's side. We'll talk a little bit about that. Or maybe we should get her as the captain of the U.S. Solheim Cup team when it comes back to the U.S. in a couple of years as well, because the red, white, and blue suits her. And our teams could certainly use her influence. Suzy has been nominated to be on the executive committee at the USGA. Elections coming up for that not too long from now, so you'll hear what she could be getting involved with there. And then we'll finish up talking about the U.S. Senior Women's Open and her being in the field there next summer. Now, be sure to come back for part 2 when we close out season 12 talking with Hal Sutton. You guys know what a great friend of the show Hal has been over the years and a very important guest over the last several years for me. I always look forward to getting to spend time with him. He'll update us on the great things he's doing down at the course that he designed, the Darmore Club outside of Houston. Maybe we'll get lucky and he'll get involved with more course design projects in 2026 and beyond. We'll talk a little Ryder Cup with Hal and what he thinks we're doing wrong. You'll hear why he chose Jackie Burke Jr. to be one of his assistant captains when Hal was the captain of the team back in 2004. And then we'll talk about the old era golf equipment, persimmon woods, blade irons, a lot of golf balls, and the equipment that he and his peers used to have to play with. And as you guys know, I've kicked around the idea, and I get Hal's thoughts on this. For how fun, now that we got silly season back a little bit, right? We just had the Skins game. Wouldn't it be fun if today's players had to play a tournament using that old equipment? We could get that in the fall. I think it would be a lot of fun to watch those guys deal with the equipment that Hal and his peers played with. So we'll talk about that. And the artistry that went out of our game a little bit when those equipment, those golf balls, those old irons and blades, when they left, look, Hal and those guys, they had to be artists out there on the golf course. You had to shape shots more. Now it's a power game. Back then it was more artistry involved. Not that it wasn't a power game. Mr. Nicklaus hit the ball a long way. Seve hit the ball a long way. But everybody hits the ball a long way nowadays. So we lost a little bit of that artistry. So we'll talk about that as well. So, folks, I've got a great season-ending show in store for you. Thank you again for pressing play and being a part of the show and making Next on the Tee what it is. So now just sit back, relax, let us take your mind off everything else going on in your life for the next hour and a half or so between parts 1 and part 2. All right, but before we continue and get into the rest of the show, I want to start off by giving a shout-out to my great friends over at the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review. TribLive.com is the leading news website for Western Pennsylvania with news around the clock. Pittsburgh Pro sports coverage, a high school sports network, a podcast network, which you can find Next on the Tee on. So go out and bookmark TribLive.com or download the Trip Live app for free and stay up to date with all the news in Western Pennsylvania and this show. I also want to talk about our friends over at the Pittsburgh Brewing Company and Iron City Beer, a brand that I have loved my whole life and started drinking when I was 21 years old, of course. Whether you're a hacker or a scratcher, the secret to a successful day on the links is knowing when it's time to grab an iron, even if that means keeping it in the bag till the 19th hole. If it's been a while since you've reached for Pittsburgh staple beer, it's time to revisit Iron City. Thanks to their incredible new facility in Creighton, the best-tasting Iron City beer ever made is now available at a course near you. Iron City pairs well with any lie and sky and serves as a friendly reminder that there's always next round. And because it's never too early for chocolate, their double chocolate Bock is back for the season, and it's the perfect companion for a cozy winter evening. Check out all of their wonderful beers and their gift shop online by going to pittsburghbrewing.com. And this year, get ready to experience a game like never before at the Keep, the brand new Bill Bergen and Rees Jones co-designed course at Macklemore. Nestled high atop Lookout Mountain, the Keep offers breathtaking vistas that are made even more spectacular as the autumn colors paint the landscape in rich hues of red, orange, and gold. With its challenging layout and awe-inspiring views, every round here is an unforgettable adventure. Whether you're taking on the signature holes or just soaking in the scenery, the Keep is where your best golf meets nature's finest backdrop. So grab your clubs and join us up at Macklemore. The Keep is open and it's waiting for you. Okay, now back and kicking off the final episode here of Season 12 is a wonderful friend of the show, and that is Charlie Rymer. You guys know about the great job that Charlie did for years over on the Golf Channel, plus his shows, Riding with Rymer, the Charlie Rymer Golf Show, and Breaking Par with Charlie Rymer. He's injected so much fun into our game, but here are a few things that you may not remember about Charlie. He's from Cleveland, Tennessee, which is just northeast of Chattanooga. He won the U.S. Junior Amateur Championship in 1985 at Brookfield Country Club up in New York. He played his college golf at Georgia Tech, where he was a two-time All-American. He was inducted into their Sports Hall of Fame in 2000. Charlie turned pro and joined the Korn Ferry Tour back in 1994. Got a big win that year at the Nike South Carolina Open. He finished second the following week at the Central Georgia Open. He finished third at the 1995 Shell Houston Open, behind Payne Stewart, who won that tournament in a playoff over Scott Hoke. Charlie battled and beat stage 3 colon cancer thanks to the great folks over at MD Anderson. He served as executive vice president at the Macklemore for a few years. He's got an exciting new project, which I can't wait to hear all about. And I couldn't be more privileged. I get to spend some more time with him this week here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Charlie, how are you, my friend?
Man, I'm doing great, Chris. Somebody's been doing their research. You got a researcher. You had to dig deep to find all that stuff. I feel a little better about myself. I appreciate your kind introduction. Thank you very much.
So, Charlie, I want to start things off at this time of year, and the holidays are upon us. We have the opportunity to be reflective, to be grateful for the things in our lives. But I want you to remind everyone about the battle that you had with colon cancer, which you beat, and what life is like for you now.
Well, Chris, I appreciate the question. And I always start when I talk about colon cancer by saying that, listen, if I hadn't have gone for my regular screening, I wouldn't be here. It saved my life. I didn't have any, symptoms. I didn't have any pain. It didn't run in my family. I don't even think I know anybody that has colon cancer. And, I was in getting a physical, and they're like, hey, you've had a colonoscopy. It's been about 12, 13 years ago, and it's time to get in and get another one. And I said, okay, let's do it. Almost didn't do it. So for the folks listening, if it's time to get one, which is age 45, and actually a little bit sooner if you've got it in your family, go get it. If you've got a friend, and I've had to do this before, if you've got a friend who's putting it off, shame them. Do whatever you got to do. Drag them in. Go get it, because that's what saved my life, and so I'm very grateful for that. And my life, a few years it was a little rough, but as you mentioned, the folks at MD Anderson really took great care of me. Dr. Scott Kopetz down there, I think he's the best in the world at colon cancer. His team is unbelievable. It's an amazing facility. But I had folks that took care of me both in South Carolina and also Chattanooga before I actually got down to MD Anderson, and they all did a wonderful job. So I had a series of surgeries, and one in particular didn't go too well. I had a few days I didn't think I was going to get to the end of that had to do with complications from surgery, but I made it. And then after that was some chemo, which is not much fun, but you just gotta suck it up and get through that. Had a rough few days, and I will tell you, if you got a friend who's going through cancer or chemo, reach out to them. We like hearing from our friends when that's going on. A lot of people don't know. Well, I've got a friend who's going through that. What should I do? Text them, because a lot of times, we might not answer the phone because we might not be feeling real good, but we sure appreciate texts and prayers and that sort of stuff. And if there's anything I learned, Chris, about cancer, no matter what kind of cancer you got, and listen, I was fortunate. Mine was right down the middle of the fairway, and I didn't have anything exotic on the edges, and I wouldn't put anybody through what I went through, but compared to other folks that I saw in my journey, what I had to deal with was easy, but it puts life in perspective for you. I mean, I don't things I used to get upset about, I really don't care about anymore, and I just don't, and sometimes I'll see people getting mad about stuff, and I'm like, really, you're gonna get mad about that steak being medium well instead of medium? And yell at wait staff. I don't get it. But I'm grateful for every day that I've got, and the team of doctors that I had, the friends that checked on me, the friends that were sending up prayers for me. Quarterback of my team was my wife. We call it in the South, I married way up, and she's a healthcare professional. She's a registered nurse with a whole big stack of degrees, and she was with me every step of the way. And I honestly don't know how I would have gotten through all of that without her. You're not feeling good, and you need somebody to, kind of advocate for you and monitor and make sure you're, everything's going right, and just to handle everything. And she did an amazing job with that. And I'll tell you a story. When I was taking the chemo, I would get an injection in a port, and then I'd have to take 4 pills in the morning and 4 pills at night, and do that for 2 weeks in a row, and then you get a week off and you go back and do it again. And it's not much fun. And my body would actually lock down when I was taking the pills, Chris. Like I got 4 pills in my hand, and you got a rubber glove on handling the pills. And I'm thinking, this is poison. I'm taking poison. And I literally one night could not get the pills. I couldn't get my hand to raise the pills to my mouth because my brain is saying, don't take that poison. And so that's kind of the battle that's going on. I shared that with my wife, and she said, look at it this way. Those pills are miracle medicine from God that are going to cure you of this cancer. And as soon as she said that, something clicked in my brain. And I never had an issue getting the pills in my mouth ever again. And so that's the kind of teammate you need. Or in her case, she was the quarterback of my team. And I'm just very grateful for having her with me every step through that journey. And I'd say we're closer after we went through it. I'm cancer free. I've got a normal life. There's always a few lingering things when they cure the cancer. There's a few things that you got to deal with afterwards that impact my balance and my feet, neuropathy and that sort of stuff. But again, compared to what I saw other folks go through, my battle was super easy. So I'm grateful to be here, and it just makes you appreciate every single day you got, and do things you want to do with people you want to do them with, and enjoy them. And that's a lesson that, that I learned going through that battle. I wish, quite honestly, I had that perspective much earlier in life. It took going through cancer to get there. So, I'm again, very grateful to be here. And it's something that, I think about it every day, and I don't know that you'll ever get completely over it. And most people that deal with it don't. But it's every day's a blessing, Chris.
Charlie, you mentioned perspective, and like I say in your intro, you're so much fun to be around, and it's always such a positive experience that you give to others, whether we're in your presence or we get to do things like this and talk to you. How much do you think that your positive outlook played in your recovery from cancer, along obviously with those wonderful doctors at MD Anderson?
It helps a lot. It really does. And listen, not every day or every minute is positive. There were some, it's kind of like, you go play golf and it's like, I want to be positive today. And after the third, chili dip, it kind of flies out the window. But, you got to be your own best friend, and everybody's got to, deal with it and the way that's best for them. My faith certainly grew when I went through that process, and I really felt the power of prayer. I knew I had a whole lot of folks praying for me, and I could feel that, and that really helped me a lot. And again, I had folks reach out to me. Rees Jones, who's been a guest on your show quite a bit. I've been on with him. Rees has always been a good friend. I'm gonna tell you what, Rees would call me once, sometimes twice a week. He knew I was sick. And we weren't talking golf course design. We were talking life, and just, pepping me up, and, hey, you got to stay positive. And he's just such a positive guy. And, that's just something that meant the world to me. And I had a lot of friends that were, that way, just getting calls, and sometimes I didn't feel, good enough to talk, and I, go to voicemail. But when I felt a little better, I'd give them a call. But having a positive attitude is very helpful. But when you do get negative, you got to have some self-awareness and realize that. And, hey, it's okay. I did get a little negative, but let's turn it around. Let's turn it around right here. And so I had to have, a lot of those talks internally, and my wife certainly monitored that, and friends monitored that. And again, I go back to, going through cancer is a team sport, man. You're going through life's a team sport. You got to have a good team around you, and you got to be there for your buddies when they're down. And I knew that, but it really, going through that process, reiterated that very much to me.
Charlie, let's switch gears and let's talk about some happier things, because when you and I were communicating a few weeks ago, you were telling me about an exciting new project that you're a part of now. So update us on what's going on.
Yeah, sure. So I've got some great friends and business associates, and we formed a new development company, and it's called Arcadian. And our first project is going to be in Greenville, Tennessee. And Greenville, Tennessee is about an hour and 15 minutes northeast of Knoxville, downtown Knoxville, Neyland Stadium. You might have heard of that. A few folks gather around there from time to time for some football. And I'm a Tennessee fan, even though I'm a Georgia Tech grad. Everybody in my family went to Tennessee, and there's nothing like going to a game at Tennessee. But it's a beautiful part of the world. We're in the foothills of the Smokies, and our project is headed up by founders were Dr. Steve Perry and his wife Marie, and they're the parents of the band Perry, and they brought their daughter Kimberly and their two sons up from down south in Mississippi, gosh, about 28 years ago, and fell in love with Greenville and the area. They live on a beautiful farm, and they won 3 Grammys along the way. That Dr. Perry, he was basically the road manager for the tours for a good bit of their careers, and magic has happened on this magnificent farm just outside of Greenville, and in creation of there's a song "I'll Die Young" that Kimberly Perry wrote, is the 3rd most streamed country song ever, and so it had been their dream to bring music. They have a passion for farming, for that community, and so it had been their dream to do a farm to table community there that celebrated the culture, was heavy on music, and they recruited a friend of mine named John Garcia, who's been in the business a long time as a developer, real estate guy. And he brought me up there, and I just fell in love with the Perrys and the project immediately. They have a chef that's from Greenville, Tennessee. His name is David Breeden, who is just a genius. He's a top 10 working chef in the country. And he was at French Laundry for Thomas Keller for 19 years, 12 years as chef de cuisine. And so he's a chef at what had been what was, while he was there, a 3-star Michelin restaurant. And he left Greenville at age 16, and they asked him to come back and shared their dream. And he started crying. He said, "I'll be glad to do that." And so he's coming back to where he grew up, and he's going to head up our food operations. And we've got bison, we've got truffles. You'll be able to, pretty much anything that you eat when you come visit us will have been grown either on that farm or in that area. And Chef David Breeden, not only can he do the fine dining, but he can make corn dogs. Corn dogs taste like you've never heard. And then we'll have quite a few music venues, and music will be a big part of what we're doing. And then we're partnering up with Rees Jones. He's going to take care of us on the golf side, and I actually get to design with him, which I'm very excited about. And we're also have a foundation. We're going to do some great things in that community. But it's just a beautiful part of the world, and I can't wait. We're just getting started on the project. We're in design right now. We'll be moving dirt pretty soon here after the first of the year, and we also are acquiring nearly a city block downtown Greenville. It's a city of about 18,000. It's a beautiful place, and we'll be restoring a historic hotel. So we'll have a magnificent hotel and shops and other amenities there in town and out on the farm that's just outside of town. And so it's really putting some of my favorite things together. My favorite things together, food, music, golf, great folks. That Greenville sits at about 1,500 feet, and it looks up to mountains that are 5,000 feet. And so I'm excited about working with the whole team. Dr. Perry, the music folks, Chef David Breeden, Rees Jones. We've assembled a heck of a team, and we're really looking forward to bringing this project out of the ground.
Getting an opportunity to do some design work alongside of Rees Jones has to be an exciting thing. You talked about moving some dirt a minute ago. What are you looking forward to going out and moving some dirt alongside of Rees Jones and getting some design work in?
Well, it's going to involve me going, "That looks great, Rees." Yeah, that looks great, Rees. As I mentioned, Rees is a great friend. He's as you know, he's a wonderful human being. He's generous and kind and extremely humble for as accomplished as he is. And I'm interested in learning as much as I am bringing some ideas. And we're kind of working through the design criteria right now. We've got some initial routings, and I pinch myself. Rees, along with Steve Weiser, one of the architects in his firm, we'll work closely together on that. Steve's wonderful. Steve's been on property a lot, and Rees is very involved, and we confer with him a lot, and he'll be coming down to property a good bit, and won't be hard to get him there with Chef Breeden cooking. Rees likes salmon, so we'll get Rees eating some some of Chef Breeden's salmon. We'll be good to go. But it's a lot of fun to be walking the property, looking at the routings and some of the material that we have to look at, and getting Rees on the phone and talking about it. And as we go through that design process, it's really a lot of fun. And where we are with it now, essentially, are the initial routings in terms of there's an existing golf course there. We're not going to use really any of it, but it's going on that same property. We've expanded it a little bit, and we're going to be able to do some things that'll open up some sight lines so you can appreciate the mountains a little bit more. And we'll be pretty traditional in our golf there, but we want to have an amazing experience with music and food being a really big part of it. It's a magical place when you get finished with the round. We're in design right now, or instead of a conventional clubhouse, we're doing an amazing barn that's inspired by all of the tobacco barns, the old tobacco barns that are in that area. And I really want to make the after golf experience be one of the best in golf, and a magical place with great food and music and great scenery. And we're not going to push people along. I really focus a lot on the experience. We're going to do 15-minute tee time intervals. And why would you be in a big hurry when you're playing at a place that beautiful? So kind of traditional golf. We'll have the idea is to have a wonderful experience for the people that play it every day. I told my partners, I said, listen, we're not building a golf course. We're going to play the U.S. Open. We're not building a golf course. We're even going to play a PGA Tour event, but we are building a golf course. It's going to be a wonderful experience for the folks that play it every day. Some of the things that are important to me is making sure we have plenty of width in the fairways. We don't have a punishing rough. I listen, the older I get, the more I hate looking for golf balls, Chris. And the way I play, I look for a lot of golf balls. And so we want to have folks have an enjoyable experience, and you can build golf courses where if you need to challenge good players, you can do it by going to the corners and the backs of the greens and that sort of stuff. But the day-to-day experience is going to be it just want to be a lot of fun. I want people to walk off that golf course and go, man, I had fun today. I just really enjoyed this day. And we'll be using some new turfs that are just coming in, and we'll be creating wonderful playing surfaces. That's awfully important to me. And then, our staff, the way they treat people, that's really important. Golf is just, I like having staff that's heads up, eye contact. They know your name. They make you feel special. I just love creating that kind of environment where people feel good when they get finished playing golf. And that doesn't mean they got kicked in the butt and shot the worst score they ever shot. That's not my style of golf. So, we want it to be a lot of fun for a lot of different types of players, and we're going to be able to pull that off.
So, Charlie, now that you got us all excited about what you guys are building up there, what are we talking about? Summer 2027, spring, summer of 28? When are we going to get to come up there and check it all out?
Yeah, that's a little optimistic. We've got a lot to build, and it's probably going to get pushed back even a little bit beyond that. It's the golf course design and construction business. There's really two phases in it, and people don't really think about that a lot of times, but it's the construction of the golf course, and then it's the grow in. And it's an interesting time when the architect and the general contractor hand the keys off to the grow-in superintendent, because he's got to he's got to grow that golf course in for a year before folks are able to get out there and play. So you got to be patient in the golf course business, because it just always takes a little bit longer than you might think, and it's really important too. Chris, if we'll use Zorja there and we'll sod it in, and in the process, you have to have the green surround sodded in before you can sprig the greens. The greens, typically need to be sprigged or seeded, in late spring, early summer. And then you have to go back and fill in the rest of the Zorja, and you've got to hit that before you get too late in the summer because you start losing heat and daylight, and you need that the Zorja to get established. So you've got windows that you have to hit with the construction to make sure that you can get the grass either sodded or seeded at the right time. And then, of course, there's always rock you run into or muck or something, and it's a interesting process, and there's a lot of creative problem solving that has to happen in the field, and it's a lot of fun, but it's also a pain in the butt. I guess it's a lot like playing the game itself. But we're going to be 28 before we've got a golf course out there that will be comfortable opening and people seeing. And in the meantime, I get to go out there and play in the dirt with some really talented designers and shapers and that sort of things. So it's something I'm really looking forward to. But that last year of waiting, I got it built, and now please, you're out there yelling at the grass. You start out talking to it to grow, being nice, and then you end up yelling at it to grow. And I don't think grass has ears, so it doesn't hear all of that. But it's a fun process. It takes a lot of talented folks to pull everything off.
Charlie, I want to switch gears, and I want to get your ideas and thoughts on a couple of things that are going on around the game at the professional level. When we look at the PGA Tour, we're seeing a tour that is reducing the number of tour cards for the guys from 125 down to 100. We've heard Scott Rowlap and Tiger talk about potentially reducing the number of tournaments to the 20 to 22 range, all of those being signature events with some limited fields, perhaps some of them being no cut. A lot of things are changing with the PGA Tour. And Charlie, the angst that I have around it is we've talked for the last few years, the mantra has been grow the game. And so many wonderful PGA professionals and your peers have done such a great job at growing the game. But now we see it feels like the PGA Tour is going in the opposite direction, kind of shrinking opportunities. What are your thoughts about what you're hearing?
Well, it is certainly an interesting time, and I sit around, my peer group is old grumpy guys, right? So I've got a text chain where we have we've got Paul Azinger on there, and Olin Brown, and Billy Kratzert, and John Cook, and Phil Blackmar, and I don't know how long we've had that text chain going, maybe a couple of years, and the comments are always quite interesting. And those guys in particular, Paul, Billy Kratzert there, Billy lives down and he's a mayor down there in Ponte Vedra. He knows everything that's going on, and Paul's still out doing some Champions Tour events. And it's, and we are the grumpy old guys because it's certainly a lot different than when those guys played, and they played a lot longer than I did, and obviously had a lot more success than I did, but gotten to be good friends primarily through, a little bit when we were playing, but primarily through our time broadcasting. And I think it's a bit of the wild, wild west. There's a lot of folks guessing as to how all of this is going to play out. And I really don't know. With Liv coming onto the scene, that's changing things a lot. I don't know. I mean, is Liv going to stick around? Are they comfortable losing the kind of money they're losing? I don't know. I mean, their KPIs are different than everyone else. They're basically, trying to change the perception of a nation that's got, as much or more money than anybody. And is Liv working for what it's supposed to do? You can make an argument that it is. You can make an argument that it isn't. I do know that I feel like the time after I stopped playing, I first got into broadcasting, which was in 1998. And I primarily for 10 years, beginning in 98, was doing live golf. And I walked a lot with Tiger. And I knew it was historic when I was out there walking with him. And I was cognizant of that. And sometimes it make you choke a little bit thinking, well, 100 years from now, somebody's going to come back and look at this, so I better not screw it up, whatever I'm saying. But kind of, the system worked. It is a star-driven product, and the top players are there. Well, everybody was at Washington Generals, and to Tiger, but it was I feel like it was the height of golf. You had a star who was, just about everybody in the world could identify with him. He was kind of the perfect guy. He wasn't boring to watch. He was the opposite of that. Probably more interesting to watch him when he wasn't driving it well or wasn't playing his best, and he still figured out a way to win. And the thing that made it so special is Tiger transcended golf. Sports fans would watch, and then he transcended sports because folks that didn't watch sports or golf would watch. And it was an amazing time. And I just don't know from where we are now how we're going to get back to attracting sports fans or just folks that want to watch something really cool. I just don't know how we're going to get back to that. And I know what they're trying is radical. I know that it makes sense on paper, but so many times when you unleash things into the wild that make sense on paper, you get a mess is what you get. So I know there's a lot of smart folks, and I hope it ends up being good for golf. I mean, I'm all for folks being able to, players be able to go out and make a great living playing golf and fans be happy and all of that. But it just seems like so many folks are mad about so many things right now. I don't know how it all comes together, but I do know golf's been around a long time. I know it's an amazing game. I know it's done unbelievable things for me in my life, but both personally. I mean, some of the greatest relationships I've got in my life ever centered around golf. Professionally, gosh, it provided for career education, career A, career B, career C. So I'm very grateful to golf. I hope it gets it figured out. But it doesn't seem like it's on the cusp of, we got this. It's a perilous time where we are right now with golf.
Charlie, you mentioned, so many people are mad about so many things. And before I let you go, as I said in your introduction, and we've talked a little bit about during the course of this conversation, one of the most positive things in our world is Charlie Rymer. And you've made a positive impact on so many lives. People that you've never even met through your podcast, through your broadcasting, through the time that you were a part of the game out on tour, so many things that you have brought to so many people's lives because of who you are. And I'm just so thankful that I actually know the person that Charlie Rymer is. And I've had you on the show as often as I have.
Well, Chris, I very much appreciate your kind words. Thanks, very humbling. Thank you very much for those kind words. But I've just been blessed from above to be in this game and have so many great folks around me, and our life, for my wife, my family, and I, it's been a real adventure, and we're very grateful for the life we've been able to lead, and for the friends we've been able to make along the way, and for the opportunity to have a platform to reach out to some folks, and the response I've gotten from that, I'm just very, very grateful, and appreciate your friendship. And as always, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Charlie, remind our listeners before you go how they can stay up to date with you, whether they're following you online or it's on social media, and finding your shows.
Well, the best way to follow me is on the X. It's at Charlie Rymer PGA, and that's generally where I'm on social media and posting some things. I might put something on there from time to time that'll make you smile or laugh, hopefully laugh a little bit too, but we'll be putting updates on there as to what's going on. And thank you for the opportunity to push that out there as well.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you and yours, Charlie. I look forward to catching up with you again soon.
You got it. Thanks, Chris.
See you, Charlie.
See ya.
Folks, that's the great Charlie Rymer. And again, one of the great individuals in our game for so many different reasons. You could appreciate him as a player, and then you could fall in love with him as a broadcaster and a guy who's done, so many different podcasts over the course of his career and what he has brought to this game. To me, tonight's show, I've got three great people, right? Charlie Rymer, Suzy Whaley, Hal Sutton. They are great people first, golfers and everything else second. And as you heard from Charlie, I mean, beating stage 3 colon cancer, amazing. His positivity, amazing. And now what he is giving back to the game through what, I can't wait, Arcadian, and everything going on up there at Greenville, Tennessee. I can't wait to see that. And you know how great Rees Jones is and our friendship, but everything about Charlie is fantastic. I can't thank him enough for everything he has meant to me. And like I say, to millions of golf fans out there. Coming up next is a lady who has just done so many wonderful things for our game over the course of her career and has just become somebody that is very, very dear to me, and that is Suzy Whaley. Before Suzy joins me, I want to remind you about our friends over at On Point Golf and their out-of-this-world On Point golf ball marker. And if you don't have one, folks, you really need to go check it out at onpointgolf.us. Get the #1 ball marker in the game of golf. On Point is the only 3-dimensional ball marker out there, with alignment technology and a removable coin that is approved to use according to the rules of golf. As you know, putting is all about line and pace. Mark your ball with On Point, engage with your 3-dimensional ball marker, and have more confidence in your line, execute the putt, and you're going to lower your scores. Do what the likes of Jim Furyk, PGA professionals, and amateurs alike are doing now. They use the #1 ball marker in golf and they lower their scores. You know Ken Duke and Thongchai JD. They won for the first time on the PGA Tour in 2023, and they were using an On Point ball marker. Get yours at onpointgolf.us and make more putts. And oh, by the way, you can also customize the removable coin for any club, event, or corporate outing. They make really great tee gifts and custom products. That's also going to help lower your score. I use On Point ball markers. Mine is black and gold, 3D black golf ball with a gold line down the middle to help me line up my putts. It's like having a 15th club in my bag. It's helped my game. Why wouldn't you let it help yours? Again, onpointgolf.us. See what I'm talking about. Order yours today.
Holiday shopping for golfers can be rough, but even if you know exactly what they need,
a shot, honey,
or you're just treating yourself, the pros at PGA Tour Superstore can brighten everyone's game. With the widest selection of package sets, pre-owned, and custom-fit clubs, a golf simulator showroom to demo and compare the latest tech, gift cards, lessons, and more. Plus, make shopping easy with Buy Now, Pay Later, 1-hour pickup, free returns, and our 90-day performance guarantee. So shop with the pros this holiday at the PGA Tour Superstore.
And what's the only thing brighter than your tree? A Sunday Swagger polo, of course. Sunday Swagger's holiday collection features 3 new limited editions: Cotton-Headed, Santa Suit, and Buddy, available in men's, women's, and youth sizes. Plus, the return of Jungle Juice. You got festive hat designs include Naughty, Nice, and New Year's 2026. Silent Night? Not with these loud prints. This is the kind of gift that says, I actually tried. And as an added bonus, buy the New York Cat and get first dibs on the New Year's Eve polos. Shop now at SundaySwagger.com because nothing says holiday spirit like outdressing everybody else. Sunday Swagger, give yourself something worth showing off. Speaking of great and someone who is very special to me, now back in Next on the Tee is another one of my all-time favorite guests whose enthusiasm energizes everyone around her. She's as wonderful as they come, and her smile and laugh make any situation better, and that is Suzy Whaley. She's had an amazing career in our game, going back to her college days at the University of North Carolina, where she lettered all 4 years. She graduated with her degree in economics. She played out on the LPGA Tour for a few years in the early 90s. In 2003, she became the first woman to qualify to play in a PGA Tour event since Babe Didrikson Zaharias did it in 1945. She qualified by winning the Connecticut PGA Championship. She's won just about every tournament there is to win in the state of Connecticut, including the Women's Open 3 times. She's competed in the USGA Senior Women's Open and the Senior PGA Championship. She's annually recognized as one of Golf Magazine's top 100 instructors, as well as a top 50 instructor by Golf Digest and the LPGA. She is a PGA Master Professional. Very few have achieved that level in the game. She was recently the first female president of the PGA of America. Going back to the summer of 2022, she was inducted into the Connecticut Golf Hall of Fame. You've probably heard Suzy in the broadcast booth over the last few years, where she makes every broadcast that she's a part of infinitely better, and I couldn't be more honored. I get to have her back with me again this week here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Suzy, thanks for coming back on the show.
You're the best hype man ever. I need to bring you on the road full time.
I appreciate you.
You bet.
So, Suzy, this is the final episode of the show for season number 12, and I always like to end the year with the voices of the people that I want to resonate, with my guests after we take a short hiatus. You've been such a positive impact in a lot of different ways in our game. Each day we have a choice. we can be positive or we can see all the negativity that's out there. And you've consistently chosen the sunny side. And I'm curious, where does that come from in you?
You know what? I think that if you have a little mantra, right? I think everybody has their own little mantra. And one of mine is to try to find joy in every day because there's enough going on in the world. There's enough bad things happening. You can drive down the street and somebody cuts you off, but it doesn't mean I don't get aggravated. But every single day, I just want to find a little bit of joy in what I do and make sure that my family feels that, it resonates with them, and we realize how lucky we are.
So let's take that a step further because with your family, as you know, your daughter Jennifer was on the show, and I can see the same positivity in her that I see in you. So it's clear to me that positivity is being passed down through the Whaley family. My friend Tony Collins, who used to play for the New England Patriots, he talks about all the time that the things that you think about most come to you. And I believe that because, I've seen people that are focused on problems, and it seems like they're always having some sort of problem. And I know that, all the wonderful things that you just talked about and how you look for that sort of thing, that seems like that has, kind of gone out through the family. And it's wonderful to see it in Jennifer too. Talk about just the family and all of that and how that's sort of a Whaley thing.
Yeah, I think it is a Whaley thing. I mean, my family, I have to get credit to them too. But, to your point, I just don't think, I don't have the energy to waste time on surrounding myself with people who only look at the bad side of things because there's just too much great going on in the world. And I love the fact that my daughter Jen has taken on the golf industry as well. And she finds great satisfaction in what she's doing in her work. Kelly is the same way, and she's got golf in her life, and my husband does. And, I think the game truly resonates. The people who love it, the people who are passionate about it, even on the days I play horribly, which seems to be more so lately than I want, you've just got to feel like, you're outside, you're enjoying friends, you're doing something that so many would love to be doing in the moment you're doing it. And, I think I'm so lucky and fortunate to have sports as a part of my life to give me that outlet. And then my work, I surround myself with people who are the same, who love sports, who love the outdoors, who are passionate about making sure they have opportunities for others, who are changing people's lives through the game of golf. And I don't know, you've got to figure out in your world, do you want to live with energy and enthusiasm, or do you want to be disappointed most days? And I just choose the other.
One of the recent great things that you were a part of was guiding our U.S. Junior Ryder Cup team to a victory over the European team. Unfortunately, our Ryder Cup men couldn't ride that wave of success, but take us inside that event and helping those kids to that huge victory.
Oh my gosh, those kids helped me to that huge victory. I don't know that it was vice versa. They were unbelievable players, and it was a fantastic competition at Nassau Country Club. So fortunate to have played there. We did get some weather that week, if you remember, and the kids were supposed to play Bethpage on that Thursday, but Nassau opened their doors to finish up the competition in the singles match at their golf course. So I'm so thankful to that membership. And we snuck it out. It was not looking pretty that morning, but I mean, that team just fought so hard to get the job done. And at the end of the day, they can always say they were on a winning Junior Ryder Cup team, which was really special. My husband, Bill, was the assistant captain alongside me. And, we had spoken to the coaches of the USGA national team prior to going. Many of the boys and girls are on that team, and got some insight from Chris, the head national coach, and Heather Daly Donofrio for that. And, it wasn't just me, is my point. We had a lot of help along the way, but mostly, you can't do it for them. They've got to get out there and play their games, and they sure did. And it just makes you smile because you know what's coming. Some of those boys and girls are headed off to college, but ultimately we will see them on the LPGA Tour. We will see them on the PGA Tour. And it's exciting to see them at that age with absolutely no fear. It's just wonderful to watch.
So let's take that a step further, Suzy. You talked about how things weren't going well at a point in time. They weren't going well at a point in time in the singles matches, actually going into the back nine. Some of the kids giving themselves pep talks and talking, I'm assuming, to you and to Bill and to some other folks to kind of get them kick-started because like I say, it could have gone really badly on that back nine, but they really flipped that script.
I mean, they really did. I mean, Lily Pang, Anna Fang, Astor's Tally, they all the girls just, they weren't having it. They were not going to lose. We had London Esterline and Miles Russell was on the team, and Hamilton Coleman and Zoe Cusack, and it just started to come together, and you could see it, just the momentum. It just felt like this wave was turning. And of course, I had the live link up, which is like disastrous for any coach or parent to have to watch that live link. You can't be everywhere all the time. But at the end of the day, all of a sudden, we started to see the blue flip slowly to red. And then we'd see another flip to red. And I would haul over to, one of the teams that perhaps was still blue and let them know, look, we got 2 red flags up on the board. We need a third. And you know what? They just responded. They responded exactly how they needed to. It was unbelievable golf from both sides. It could have gone either way. It ended up going our way, which, of course, is just such a treat and an honor to be a part of.
So you're such an amazing teacher, Suzy. One of the things that we remember in life is the positive teachers that we got to have along the way. I mean, decades later, I remember the great teachers that I had back in high school. For these junior kids, not only did they win a junior Ryder Cup event, but they also got to learn from you. And the opportunity to be the captain of a junior Ryder Cup team is a tremendous honor. But on top of that, I have to imagine that it's pretty fulfilling to know the impact that you got to have for a short period of time on so many wonderful, great players.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, Chris, because I don't know the kids feel the same way. I'm not a Democratic coach. And I think they all wanted a little more say than I gave them on who they would like to play with and how the days went down. And, at the end of the day, I always say, look, I'm so open to input, but it's not a democracy. I had done a lot of homework. I, have captained a lot of teams, and, I paired them as data, statistics, how we really had these conversations, obviously with other coaches. And I talked to Scott Fawcett from Decade. I had done a lot of homework going into the Junior Ryder Cup, and I knew exactly where I wanted people to sit and play together, but I needed to watch their practice rounds. And once I did, I knew we had the lineup that we were looking for. And I think the kids were a little stunned. They're like, "Well, you're not going to ask us?" So I think if you were to ask them, there might be a little different perspective. But at the end of the day, it worked out in our favor, and it was all good.
Susan, I've said this to you before. I have to admit that you look great wearing the red, white, and blue. I know Angela Sanford is going to be the next captain of the U.S. Solheim Cup team over in Europe. But it comes back here in 28 to Valhalla. Captain Whaley would be awesome.
No, I don't, Chris. I love you, but I don't have the pedigree. That position is well earned from major championships to championship play and on the LPGA. And while I had a tour card, I certainly wasn't in that upper echelon of play. But I will be a huge fan right there inside the ropes, outside the ropes. Sorry, cheering them on and really hopeful that they get that win. I'm in the LPGA right now with Craig Kessler at the helm, who was at the PGA of America. When I was at the PGA of America, he's doing some great things for the LPGA, and I'm seeing more media coverage for the LPGA, which is exciting. All their championships are now live streamed, which is really wonderful for the LPGA and for the players that are on it to get the attention that they deserve. And just looking forward to 2026 to see what he's got up his sleeve next. And, Gino Tillicoat, the play out there is just so incredible. And, as a woman in the game, you just want people to tune in. You just want them to be able to understand the tremendous athletes and world-class players that are playing on that tour. And I certainly hope they get more recognition in 2026, the recognition they deserve. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's next.
You've been nominated to be on the executive committee at the USGA. The elections are not going to happen until February, but of course they're going to elect you, because why wouldn't they? Talk about the work that you potentially will be doing over there.
Yeah, exciting to be a part of that. Obviously, I've been in the governance calendar for the PGA of America, and this is their allied association, United States Golf Association. And I'm excited to be a part of committees that involve the U.S. National Development Team. My love for coaching juniors, it just fits perfectly for me, and I'm excited to be a part of that. And learn from the chair of that. And then also be on the USGA Foundation Committee. I'll be on the Handicap Committee. And it's a 3-year term. And, as I roll into this new role, not to make a pun, I'm excited to be a part of it. The USGA is doing great work in so many spaces, inclusive of growing the game, and really being a part of programming that so desperately needs funding to do so. And the USGA is really putting their money where their mouth is. Kevin Hammer, the incoming president, excited to be a part of the strategic vision that he sees. And then, of course, Mike Wan, who was at the LPGA for so many years and so highly respected as the commissioner of the USGA. So, as well as I do, how many championships the USGA puts on, from the professional ranks all the way down to the amateur ranks and their state, governing bodies. So a lot of work to be done. I'm honored that they would consider me to be a part of the executive committee, and looking forward to February, the annual meeting, hopefully being elected.
Suzy, as you know, I partner with the LPGA Legends Tour to help promote the events on that tour and those great legends of the game. I'm so glad that the U.S. Senior Women's Open is a thing now. It was great to see Julie Inkster almost win that thing. Annika out there, Kari Webb, so many of the ladies that I admire competing for a major again, and also getting to see legends like Jill McGill and Hollis Stacy, Amy Alcott, Laura Davies, all those wonderful people out there playing again. Talk about the U.S. Senior Women's Open and what it's like playing in that event.
Yeah, one way or the other, I'll be at that this year because it's on my calendar for the USGA that I'm supposed to be at that one, but I'm hopeful that I might even be playing in it, which would be great. I was able to play in the very first one at Chicago Golf Clubs. I qualified. I don't have the status from my LPGA Tour play to be exempt for that event. So many of us go to a local qualifier like you would do for a US Open or a USAM. And you have to qualify. And I did that, played at Chicago Golf Club. And it was like, icon after icon for me. Growing up, of course, my idols were Nancy Lopez and Pat Bradley and Joanne Carner and Jan Stevenson. I mean, I could go on and on. And they were all there. They were all there on the range, hitting golf balls. Nancy at the time was nursing an injury, so she was actually the starter, and she was always my idol. So you can only imagine playing at this iconic venue at Chicago Golf Club with all the people you idolized around you, and then having, the one person who, was up on your walls and scorecards that she had signed and hats she had signed with her name on it for me, is starting me, off in the event. It was pretty surreal and amazing. And then at the end of the championship, these women who gave all of us the opportunity to play golf professionally, were in the locker room asking all of us to sign a pin flag for them. And it was just one of those moments in time you thought, is this really happening? And it was something very special. I credit the USGA for establishing the event and recognizing the need to showcase these women to the world and to say thank you, not only for their play and everything they've done, but to also give them a venue to continue to compete and play at the highest level. And as you mentioned, Annika Sorenstam has won that championship. Lita Lindley, my partner in a team event, won that championship. And it's just something that I think all those women look forward to each and every year, and hopefully will continue to grow.
The thing that strikes me about the Legends Tour is the access that you can get to these wonderful ladies and these great icons in our game, because a lot of times, and a lot of these events, you can walk inside the ropes with them. I think that is the most wonderful thing, is to have an opportunity like that, to walk shoulder to shoulder with a legend.
Well, and the legends, the women of that tour, you remember this is a time when they were fighting, well, we still are, but where they were entertaining during pro-ams to gain attention, to get sponsorship dollars for events. And, in my opinion, the women are so good at it. They're so good at having those conversations and networking and really listening to people who come out and watch, an appreciation of the fans and a real appreciation of having people have an interest in the women's game. And you feel that when you go to a Legends event. And any fan that I've ever met that's gone has always said, wow, what a day. What an incredible day to walk down the fairway and have a conversation with a Pat Bradley. So I am hopeful that if anybody listening has never attended one, you'll give it a go, because I think you'll be surprised at the caliber of the game, and I think you'll be really surprised at the welcoming nature you'll find within the ropes.
Suzy, before I let you go, remind our listeners again how they can stay up to date with all the great things that you're out there doing, whether it's online or it's on social media.
Yeah, you'll find me really easily. Just type my name in. I'm at Suzy Whaley at Instagram, at Suzy Whaley on X. I am Suzy Whaley at Gmail on email. It's hard to miss me. So you'll find me for sure. But Chris, always a treat. Happy holidays. I can't wait to see you at the beginning of 2026 at the PGA show for our annual meet and greet. And I just want to thank you for all you do for the game of golf and for those of us that love it.
I appreciate you very much, Suzy. That means a great deal to me. I can't wait to see you. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to you and your family. I look forward to seeing you in a month or so.
Looking forward to it. Same to everybody.
See you, Suzy.
Bye-bye.
That is the great Suzy Whaley, folks. They don't come better than that lady. She is such a wonderful human being. She's the perfect person to be leading our junior players, the LPGA Tour, the USGA, anything that she touches, she's going to make infinitely better. She's been a wonderful supporter of me in this show, which means the world to me. You can imagine what it's like and the feeling that I have inside for her kindness. She's a great mom. She's a wonderful teacher. That just every base that you want to touch in our game, she touches it. And then I had the opportunity to spend some time with her daughter, Jen. I look forward to catching up with her again. So, folks, go out there, give her a follow at Suzy Whaley on social media. You're going to be impressed with what a wonderful human being she is. I can't wait to see her at the PGA Merchandise Show. All right, my friends, it is time for me to put a bow on part one of this very special edition of Next on the Tee. My sincere thanks again to Charlie Rymer and Suzy Whaley for joining me. Now be sure to come back for part two, because I've got a great conversation in store for you with my great friend Hal Sutton. You know what a wonderful friend Hal has become of this show over the years. 16th time I've had the privilege of sharing this show with him. We get into a lot of things. We talk about how he's giving back to the game now through his design work. Dartmoor Club outside of Houston is just one of the gem new courses in our game. We'll also talk a little bit about the Ryder Cup and what we need to do differently, perhaps, so that the U.S. can get back on the winning side of those things. We'll also talk a little bit about old school golf equipment, the persimmon woods and the blade irons. And you guys have heard me talk to several players, but what a wonderful event I think it would be to get those clubs and those golf balls, the old Balata golf balls, and into the hands of today's players, maybe in silly season, right? We've got the return of that nowadays. We just had the Skins game. How great would it be to watch these guys go out there and play with the old style woods and irons and golf balls that a lot of us grew up having to play with? So I'll get a little thought on that from Hal. We'll also touch on his partnership with Makefield Putters. It's very rare that Hal would endorse a putter, so you'll want to hear that as well. So come back for part two. Folks, it is such an incredible honor to do this show with you and to be able to bring you people like Charlie Rymer, Suzy Whaley, and Hal Sutton, and Mark Calcavecchi, and all the wonderful people that have joined this show that make it what it is, and part of who make it what it is you. I can't thank you enough for making Next on the Tee a part of your weekly golf content. Until next time, hit 'em straight, my friends.
Thanks for joining Chris again this week on Next on the Tee. We hope you enjoyed the conversations as much as we did. Please share the show with your golf buddies and be sure to follow it on Trib Live or your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Thanks for pressing play and being part of the journey. We'll see you next week. right here, where the best minds in golf share their stories.